Wrestling with Wrestling's past and present.
How old were you?
I was -3.
See, JR is trying to contain Jim Ross.
McFlurry,
It's Mick Foley. Definitely not his, the barn burner that we've cast the entire rally thing was, but, we'll leave that there.
We digress.
God, I hope that storyline ends soon.
And 6 to 8 weeks later, they mail you a freaking magnet.
Yep. You may know him as the Red Rooster.
Hager kept making out with his wife. It was weird. So then, I'm waiting for them to put the Zelina Vega on a pole match for that to be. It is in the mail, my good sir. No, it wasn't. Paul. Giving us a reason to come here and listen to ourselves talk.
Absolutely,
and then you can listen to us too. We're off to a rough start.
This is Wrestling with Wrestling's past and present. I'm Tim Kurt.
I'm Roland Fulis.
And I'm Mongo.
And today it is episode 72, and we are going to recap WrestleMania 37, which took place last week.
Yeah, there was 2 nights of WrestleMania. I know going into it, we were kind of crapping on night 1, but it actually turned out that night 1 might have been booked better than night 2. So we'll get into that a little bit as we get going and see how we did. I think looking back on it, both of us, all 3 of us rather, missed some cues that the WWE gave us that should have made our picks a little easier, like looking back on it. But I think we did as good as we could have because the booking was horrible, especially night 2. Night 2's booking was just so bad.
No, you're right. And I think that's what's hard about WWE is because sometimes they try to be too smart. They try to be Pete Carroll with Marshawn Lynch. They throw and they should have run, and I'm a Pats fan. So saying that, I can say that. But they rebooked night 2, minutes before matches happened, according to the reports that came out, that they've torn up finishes and rewrote it. And Randy Orton, didn't know things before a match, and other main eventers didn't know things before a match. So I think that's hardest. They throw out verbal cues, but they throw out so many, you didn't know which direction they're going to go into, and they just chose the easy way out. But without spoiling it, it's like you can tell what they were kind of doing, but they didn't.
Yeah.
So are you saying Vince McMahon's Pete Carroll and who would be Malcolm Butler in that analogy?
Night 1.
There you go. That's true. Night 1 took it in the hand.
So we're going to do something a little different today. So bear with us. We haven't done this before, but we're going to actually play some clips of last week's episode where we gave you our predictions, and we're going to see how right or wrong we were. Like you said, we got some right, but there were some things that we missed due to probably some really crappy booking. So just bear with us. We're going to see how this goes. And we'll get right into it. We're going to start off night 1 with the WWE Championship match between Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre. Lashley obviously wins this one by making McIntyre pass out to the Hurt Lock. Let's take a listen and see what we thought about this one. But I can see Brock coming back and costing Drew here, and I think Bobby Lashley's going to retain.
I don't want to pick a winner per se, but I'm going to say that because I don't want to say that this is going to happen a certain way. But I'm with Tim. I don't see them switching the belt. I don't know if it's going to be a DQ, so technically McIntyre wins, but he doesn't get the belt. But yeah, I think Lashley leaves WrestleMania with the title.
Prediction-wise, unfortunately, I think Drew McIntyre because Vince wants to give him that moment that he didn't get last year. I don't think that's a good booking decision, but I'm saying Drew McIntyre, unfortunately.
So there we go. So Roland and I both got that one right. So we started off the night all right. Mongo, unfortunately, picked McIntyre, and nope, we did not. It did not go that way. But I think Mongo's probably pleasantly surprised that Lashley won. Mongo's on mute here.
I'm glad I was wrong. That's what I was saying.
You pulled the Roland. You were not.
I did. I hit the button. I'm like, what the heck's not showing me muted? But I'm glad I was wrong because, like I said, in the clip, it's going to be a terrible booking decision to give it to Drew. So I'm glad I was wrong. And, I think it's the right thing to do that Lashley's going to keep the title and hopefully he can keep it to SummerSlam. Give him a good run. I don't want a transitional champion. I want someone who busts their ass to get their run they deserve.
Well, and that was the thing. If they were going to let Lashley beat somebody, just let him beat The Miz. McIntyre, rather. Well, why would you had Lashley do it at Raw to get the title. Why wouldn't you just save that and have McIntyre do it at Mania if you wanted McIntyre to have his moment? But they've been building Lashley up, so you can't. Why? Then again, Vince is the guy that builds people up, and knocks them right back down. So I could have saw them screwing that up too.
Yeah.
Had it been on night 2, it might have been screwed up.
And now we're getting Backlash 2020 and Backlash 2020. We're getting the exact same match, just titles are switched.
Yeah.
It's WrestleMania Backlash.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to add that.
And they leapfrogged Money in the Bank. So Money in the Bank used to be right after. They decided to flip flop those, so it's WrestleMania Backlash, brother.
Yeah, but to me, Backlash has always come after WrestleMania, so it's kind of redundant to put WrestleMania Backlash on it.
Well, they moved it one pay-per-view up, so now it's immediately following. So damn it, it's WrestleMania Backlash. Anyways, yeah, that's a Vinceism right there, boy. Hell yeah.
So it was a decent start, I think, to WrestleMania.
I mean, it was a good match. Not to cut you. It was a good match. It started off well, and it was a decent match.
Yeah. Next up was the tag team turmoil match. The winner was going to receive a women's tag team title match on night 2 of WrestleMania. You have Natalya and Tamina winning the match by last eliminating the Riot Squad. So let's listen to our predictions on that match. I'm going to go, this one's kind of hard to predict, but I'm going to go with Lana and Naomi here. I think just simply to get the crowd, make the fans happy. Naomi's obviously really popular with the crowd.
I hope Becky Lynch comes back, and I hope she teams with Bayley. This is my hope. I don't think it's going to happen. I wish it will happen. And I think if it does happen, they win and they go to night 2. But to pick a winner out of these 5, I'm just going to go with the Riot Squad.
So I think my realistic pick, I'm going with Tim. I'm saying it's going to be Naomi and Lana.
So rolling with the closest here, the Riot Squad lasted to the end. My pick, Naomi and Lana, did not fare too well.
Yeah, no, I was excited when they made it to the end, and then I was like, they're not going to win. I'm hoping they're going to win. It was one of those throw the water ball moments when they got pinned. I was like, damn it, I was so close, but we all struck out on this. It's such a hard match to call. Those 5 teams in there. You just had to pick somebody.
No, this is the beginning of my 0-2 streak, which, spoiler for tomorrow, for night 2, I had an 0-2 start again. So it's weird. I was like, how this match was booked, and I wanted the Iconics to come back, and yet they only had one of them, and now they're fired. So go figure, like, they go from WrestleMania 35 winning the titles to getting fired. But anyway, I wanted them to win, and I wanted Naomi to win just because it made sense, booking wise. I thought it would be the best outcome. And then the Riot Squad was kind of like my runner-up who would have realistically wanted to win. And I was happy for you. I was like, yeah, Rollins going to win this one. And at least the Riot Squad gets their Mania moment. Nope. But at least the people they chose, it still made sense. And I like that they did tributes to their dads. I thought that was really cool. They each did their parents' finisher. I just think that it was just not booked very well. And it was just, like I said before, it was a cluster. And unfortunately, the match was kind of a cluster. Some of the pins were too quick. And it was decent, but it was just thrown together to me and hard to predict.
I think it's funny to watch Tamina do the Superfly splash because she it's almost like she's so vertical. She's like upright as she comes off the turn. That she looks so weird flying through the air. She's not like you watch Montez Ford or like one of the Usos do it and you're like, yeah, that was a great move. Or even like Kevin Owens when he does a frog splash. It's like, wow, look at how flat he gets in the air. Like she jumps off and she's straight up and down.
Yeah. It's like a 45-degree plank.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. But no, it was definitely a cool moment. And then once they won, in my head, I'm like, wow, they might give them their moment the next night. So as soon as they won, I was like, oh no. I'm like, we might have picked the wrong match for
but next up was the match that I was looking forward to the most on night 1. It was Cesaro and Seth Rollins. Cesaro gets his WrestleMania moment, his first singles match win at WrestleMania, which I was pleasantly I was happy about that. I think we all are, that he finally got his moment in the sun here. But let's see what we said about this one last week. It would be nice to see Cesaro get his WrestleMania moment, but I just have a feeling they're not going to let it happen. I'm going to go with Seth Rollins here to pick up the win.
I'm going to pick Cesaro. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm going to pick Cesaro only because, like what Tim said, he hasn't had that moment.
But Roland, I agree with you. I'm going with Cesaro because I think they have to do it right because Seth Rollins can afford to take the pin.
So you guys were right. I was totally wrong about this one, but I'm glad that I was wrong. Like Mongo was in the first match. I was glad that I was wrong. I did not see it happening, but I'm glad that Cesaro got his moment.
And then you have the follow-up after that on SmackDown of him kind of teasing a run at Roman. So at least they're keeping the push going a little bit. Like I was hoping like he wasn't just going to win, then he was going to be back to like mid-card Jones, just jobbing out guys and beating people like Tucker. Oh wait, he's not there anymore either. But like so, it was good to see, refreshing that they went that way. And again, if that had been on night 2, Seth would have won, and we would have been like, what the hell?
Yeah, you said if it was on night 2, it probably would have been Seth, and it probably been a stupid way to win, and we would have been like, there goes his push again. So it still doesn't feel real, like you said, Ro. It's like, where is it going? Because I want this push to happen. You know, we all wanted it. Like Tim said, you know, he should get his WrestleMania moment. He needs to get his push started. And I'm glad he did. And I was actually kind of annoyed that Seth came out. But like you said earlier, it's WrestleMania Backlash. So it's going to have all the rematches. So it's like, I get it, but we don't need that feud anymore. I want to see him keep teasing that run for the title. You know, I know the rumor now Big E's going to go for it, but they could do Big E and Cesaro. They could trade off a series of matches. Like, there's ways they could build it and make it interesting. So I'm glad I was right, but please don't fuck it up. Please.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing, too, is we've already seen some of these rematches. Like we saw the rematch on Raw. We saw the rematch on SmackDown with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. It's like, if they're going to do all, like, how many more matches they need to do? Like, you know, I hope that they don't just keep literally have, you know, almost the same card on Backlash.
It's like I said a few episodes ago, Vince just loves to do the same 6 episodes because it's like the writers get so flustered that the episodes are getting rewritten. They'll go, here, Vince, I just gave him the episode from last week. He approved that one. So it's like they just give us the same episode because they know they didn't get fired for it before.
Yeah.
You know, Leo Rush sent a wicked savage tweet this week that was like, they have 30 writers backstage. They fire 30 people because they can't find something for them to do.
Yep. Next up is the tag team match for the Raw Tag Team Championship. You have AJ Styles and Omos getting a win over the New Day to become your new champions. This was Omos's debut. And what did we say about this one? Let's take a listen.
I have a sneaky suspicion that they're going to put Omos over here. I think AJ Styles and Omos are going to win.
I hate to think that they're going to put Omos and AJ Styles over in Omos's first match. We don't even know what he can do. But it's the WWE, and I just don't know. As much as I'm an AJ Styles fan, I'm going to say the New Day retains.
You know, yes, this is a cool way to get him Grand Slam champion, which is why I'm making them my pick, because I think this win gives AJ the Grand Slam champion moment, like they did with Seth at WrestleMania 34.
So again, Mongo and I picked that one right. Roland picked the New Day on this one. You know, I thought it was kind of predictable that Omos was going to go over. The match wasn't really anything special to me, which is we got a lot of talent in there with AJ Styles and the New Day, but just kind of their match for me.
And my big thing here is the same thing that I said about the Miz, McIntyre, and Lashley. Like, if you're going to switch the titles around, why not just keep the Hurt Business with the titles and have Omos and AJ beat the Hurt Business? Why give them the titles for like 3 weeks just to take them off? Like that's my only complaint. I'm an AJ fan, so I'm glad that he got the Grand Slam thing, and knowing that you know, the WWE values that you know, that's one of the cues I was talking about, that if I had thought a little bit more, I would have been with you guys on that one too, because they like doing that stuff with the Grand Slam championship and stuff like that. So
yeah, I think it's too because AJ said that his run could be coming to an end. So maybe this is kind of a way to kind of give him another little title, because this will guarantee his Hall of Fame entry. Not that it wasn't solidified before. I kind of hate those. I'm like Roland. I kind of hate those. I'm an AJ fan, so I'm happy for him. But I hate throwing together tag teams winning titles. It's what Vince loves to do. I mean, he broke up Heavy Machinery. Like you said, Tucker got fired. Iconics, they both got fired after they faltered. They break up these tag teams, said, we have nothing for you. Then why did you break them up? That's always what's killed me. I mean, we're talking about TNA next week. They fired the Highlanders before they broke them up because they showed up at TNA, but also because they broke them up. Stop breaking up tag teams to break, then fire them, because it doesn't make any sense. It's like you're sabotaging. It's like when you work for a company and they don't want you to work there, so they start scheduling it like 1 hour a week. That's what WWE does with their tag teams. They break them up and they go, well, I don't know. I don't have anything for you.
You can come and sit in catering if you want, But
Be like Bo Dallas not be on a show since 2019 and then wonder, we have nothing for you. Clearly.
Yeah.
man, I thought today was the day too. Geesh. Maybe if he had just believed a little bit more.
A little bit harder.
Yeah.
There goes the internet's fan theories about Bo Dallas being the burnt crispy fiend.
Yep.
I mean, to be fair, he could have been. They don't need him anymore.
Yeah.
they used him and then just got rid of him like that.
Thanks. What they did with Samoa Joe.
Thunderstorm Joey Samoa. That was pretty funny. If you guys follow our Facebook page, that was put up there, and that was pretty funny.
I couldn't resist. The memes of wrestling are fire.
Yeah.
Next up is the steel cage match between Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon. Braun Strowman going to get the win. Shane McMahon seemed like he had the win, but he taunted. He got a little full of himself there, and Braun Strowman rips the cage open and pulls Shane McMahon back in, and Braun Strowman picks up the win here. And what did we say about that one?
I don't know if WD's got something against him, if he's being punished or something. It seems that way. And for that reason, I think Shane's going to win here by hook or crook.
I don't think Shane's going to win in the ring. I think he's going to escape the cage and he's smart, so he's going to escape the cage and beat the monster that way.
It's Braun for me. My pick is Braun just because it's more of a hope. I think it's going to be Shane, but I'm picking Braun.
So Mongo, congratulations. You're the only one that got it right out of the three of us here.
And by my math, he's now ahead of us again. He
Yeah.
started off 0-2 and now 3-2.
Yep.
Hey, it's in Raymond James Stadium. I'm a Tom Brady fan. I just started making that comeback. 22-3 ain't gonna hold me down.
Yeah, right. I mean, this match was tailor made for Shane to look like a chicken shit heel and escape the thing, and then lead on to WrestleMania Backlash. Like I don't know. They threw this thing together pretty much last minute, and they decided they wanted Shane to be a heel. So they tell him we're gonna have an anti-bullying campaign, but we're gonna have Shane McMahon bully Braun Strowman.
Yeah,
and call him stupid.
Still not believable that Braun Strowman was bullied.
Yeah, and this is one of those ones that you didn't know which way they were going to go, but I think either way, I think it made so much more sense. Like even Mongo agreed, it made more sense for Shane to win this match. He was just smart enough to pick the winner.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
sometimes with WWE, you kind of got to go against common sense because they lack common sense.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, I'm going to go with Braun because I just feel like it doesn't make sense unless he did the chicken shit heel stuff. And there was really only two cool spots. And like Roland always complains about it on our show, and it's a valid complaint. There was no color. Like you're in a steel cage, you're getting thrown against a cage, and there was no color. They don't have a cage. And I also hate the escape factor, so I'm glad it was a pin in the ring because I hate the fact that WWE puts a stipulation of, well, you can escape the cage to win. I've never liked that as a fan. I know I'm kind of old school that way. I like that you have that basically the cages is there to keep the heel in with the face and keep that dynamic of the face going over the heel because they trap the chicken shit heel. So It's kind of nice they did a little nod to that, but why make Shane just sit there? He would have gotten out like 10 seconds ago, but they stalled for that cage ripping spot, which looked cool, but was just there for theatrics.
Yeah.
Well, and that's using the cage correctly. If you let the chicken shit heel escape, that gets more heat on him.
Right.
But then you have matches in history that you've had the good guy escape the cage. It's like, no, like that, like you said, that's not the point. The point is you're supposed to trap the heel, and for the heel to win, he has to escape the cage to be a chicken shit heel. Like that's the only way that works. And in 20 years, they haven't figured that out yet. So.
Nope. Next up is a tag team match between Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. They're going to get a win over the Miz and Morrison here in about 15 minutes. Internet went crazy over Bad Bunny's performance, and I'll give him his due. He did better than I thought he was going to do, especially that destroyer he did on the outside of the ring. I mean, that's a pretty risky move for somebody that hasn't wrestled before. So I'm not a big Bad Bunny fan, but he grew on me with this performance. So let's take a look and see what we predicted for this match.
I think it's going to be really predictable. I think they're going to put Bad Bunny over here somehow, and Damian Priest.
I don't see how Bad Bunny and Damian Priest don't go over here. I don't.
So I think obviously Bad Bunny's going to is pinning whoever, and taking, the win, but this way Archer gets his moment. I think he's going to showcase himself. I think he's just going to annihilate the Miz and Morrison basically, and they're going to do some chicken shit heel stuff and run around, but it's just going to be more of a spectacle because they're just going to have Bad Money do one or two things and pin the Miz.
So we all got it right, but
Mongo should get it wrong just for that. Because I will agree with Tim. Bad Bunny set the bar really high for any celebrity that comes in from now on to make an appearance on any show, because he, as much as I don't like him being there or what, the whole thing leading up to that, I'll tell you what, he impressed the hell out of me. And he wrestles better than some of the wrestlers do. Some of the stuff he did, he pulled off great. I mean, you wouldn't even tell that he was a celebrity. So
no, I eat my words in that because I didn't think that he was really taking the training seriously, but WWE really hasn't shown me celebrities that, minus a few, you have the guy Stephen Amell from Arrow, who took it seriously, not only wrestled at SummerSlam, but has wrestled at All Out with AEW before they were AEW. And so I was like, well, the bar's not really set high for celebrity matches, so that's why I didn't think there's anything. But he went, he busted his ass, he put in the work, he impressed the wrestlers too, which that's a huge win right there. So like Roland said, good luck to anyone who comes in after that, because it was very impressive. And the Destroy on the outside, Morrison sells like a champ, so it made it look even better. But they worked well together. The chemistry was so well between everyone in that ring, and to have the Miz break character and say, I give him respect, shows that even Miz was like, holy shit. So this match surpassed my expectations. I'm glad I picked the winner, but I'm glad I was wrong on what the match was going to be.
yeah, and then Morrison's now pretty much a jobber. Like all he does is take spots and lose, or like I hate, I'm hoping that at some point they break those two up, because Morrison deserves better, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I don't know why he keeps coming back besides the money. And not Frankie Money, his wife, Frankie Monet, but he's got to come back because of the paycheck, because he leaves, goes to Impact, becomes world champion, goes to Lucha Underground, becomes a champion. He gets well respected. He comes back to WWE, gets thrown another tag team, and just like you said, became a glorified jobber. Like he's Steve Blackman from Head Cheese right now. It's disgusting.
Head Cheese reference. Love it.
Just any tag team, it's the greatest tag team of the 21st century. So we are wrapping up night one with the SmackDown Women's Championship match. Bianca Belair going to get her WrestleMania moment and get a win over Sasha Banks to become the new champion. What did we say about that one?
I'm actually going to pick a title switch here. I think Bianca Belair is going to take the title from Sasha.
So yeah, I'm going to go, I think, with Bianca Belair getting her moment. It might be a little bit too soon for me, like a rocket ship strapped to her. So I hope they don't let her get there and then fizzle. But I think that Bianca is going to win the match.
I think so too. I think, like you said, it kind of helps legitimize the Royal Rumble. I think she's going to win. Also, I think she does deserve it too, because she busted her ass in NXT.
Hey, so we all got that one right.
So did WWE, thankfully.
Yes.
And this is where the shit went south. After this, everything was yeah.
This was my match of the night. This and Cesaro were my match of the night. This is what made night one for me, because they took a lackluster card. Like we all agreed on, last week, it was a lackluster card. We thought night one was going to be but night one was a banger. This felt like WrestleMania, from the fans coming back. I don't even care there was a weather delay, because I'm not going to remember that. What I remember is every match delivered had, solid performances, and the booking decisions, made sense whether we liked them all or not. And then when she whipped her with her hair and it sounded like a legitimate whip, that was nasty. And credit to Sasha, because her side was like gashed open.
Yeah,
both women killed it. And credit to TJ for setting that match up too, Tyson Kidd.
Yeah, they that spot made me like cringe on the couch. Like I was like, oh shit, like oh man, like you just know how much like it and then they show the wound afterwards. It's like holy crap, she took it like a champ. Holy cow.
The only thing that kind of messed that match up was Michael Cole's call at the end there, where he thought Sasha kicked out. Kind of spoiled Bianca's moment a little bit there.
Well, and I don't understand why Michael Cole got to call every match at WrestleMania either. Like, okay, you're phasing these, and again, they've changed the announce teams for people who don't know, and we'll get into that eventually. I'm sure we're going to have more weeks of garbage that we can decipher through as we go. But like, why wouldn't you just let Phillips comment? Like they let Samoa Joe commentate, and then they got rid of him. Like obviously, Tom Phillips. To Tom Phillips' credit, I don't hate him. He's not that bad. I don't know why they keep flip flopping these guys, but whatever. You should have had the Raw matches with Tom Phillips and whoever, and the SmackDown matches with Michael Cole, because you have these people that Michael Cole doesn't see. So like, why is he calling matches for people that he doesn't watch wrestle matches during the year? I just don't get it.
Well, I heard that there was some COVID protocols with Tom Phillips. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I don't know if that's a cover up for something, but that's what I read.
I mean, if that's true, okay, I'll give him a pass. But I mean, still, it's just weird that Michael Cole got all 14 matches.
Yeah.
Unless there was a reason behind it.
I've never got the announced teams. I mean, this is how bad WWE is when we have to break down how bad the announced teams are too. That they used to have, you had the iconic, the trios in the 90s, and then you had Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross in the Attitude Era in the mid 2000s. And then Michael Cole grew his way. He became a really good announcer. So he was part of the big three of Jerry Lawler, Jim Ross, and Mike Cole. Those are 3 solid announcers. It's ever since they started putting Booker T and JBL, and Taz, they just started flip-flopping all these commentators. And like you guys said, Tom Phillips not bad. I don't understand why Mike Cole should have been the workhorse, because Corey Graves is an excellent commentator too. Pair him up with Phillips, like you said, and they could have done the audio from somewhere else, not like the fans see it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, night one, they would have known something was up because he wouldn't have been wearing a friggin' poncho.
So let's delve into night 2 here. We start things off with Randy Orton and The Fiend.
Before we get into that, let's see where we're at after night 1. After night 1, Mongo was 5-2, and Tim, you and I were both 4-3, right?
4-3, that's right.
So at this point, Mongo started off 0-2 and then ran the table.
Yep.
It was a good run.
Which is impressive.
I can tell you this, night 2 did not go really smoothly for me at all.
we all were under 500.
Yeah.
Mongo. So it was not, and a lot of it was just crappy booking. And again, not to cut Tim off from getting into it, I want everybody to know that we'll get into that too, but had it been booked properly, we would have been a lot better. I'm not saying we would have been perfect, but it would have been better.
Yes. So like I was saying, so Randy Orton and The Fiend start off night 2. Pretty cool entrance for The Fiend. There was a Jack in the Box. Alexa Bliss came out first, does the Jack in the Box thing, which the little handle was like almost hitting her as she was like pulling it. To I think everybody's surprise and to everybody's dismay, Randy Orton actually picks up the win here because Alexa Bliss turns on The Fiend. And we did not call that coming. Here's what we said about this match last week.
But I'm going to go with The Fiend here because that's what makes sense to me. Obviously, WWE doesn't always do what makes sense, but I'm just going to hold out hope that they put The Fiend over here.
I think for this to properly have paid off the way that it should, I agree with Tim. The Fiend has to go over here to get his revenge on Orton.
I think that potentially this will be a squash. I think it's just going to be The Fiend's going to make a grand entrance. They've already leaked his entrance gear because the Supercard has a picture of him with like this weird cloth black hood. So they're doing some sort of entrance because they want to make this a spectacle. And he's just come up to squash Orton.
Oh, we were all wrong there.
I don't know, Tim. You got one part.
I got one part.
They said they don't always do things that make sense, and this made absolutely no fucking sense.
How do you build up a run for like 5 months to finish it off the way they finished it off? And even Orton on Raw said that this is, it's done, it's over. The Fiend and Alexa Bliss are, are not involved. I'm not involved with that anymore. But that's how you pay. Like, you literally just wasted 5 months of my fucking life that I'm not getting back. That made no sense from Orton getting fake burns to now the Fiend losing at WrestleMania. It's like, I don't know.
Bray Wyatt losing at WrestleMania, name a better combo.
Yeah, I mean, that was the one thing that I thought was the coolest part of the last 5 months was how they continued this, the way that, and we got into that last week, the way they continued it with Bliss, with the Fiend not there, and all this buildup for it to be like a 6-minute match or something. It was a squash. You got that right. It ended up being a squash. Orton beat him in quick fashion. So
it just didn't make sense. Like you said, all this buildup, and then, point number one that I'm gonna make is the Fiend no-sold everything, so he was looking unstoppable and was destroying Orton, and then you didn't even know Alexa was turning because they didn't explain what was going on. They didn't even she just stood there with black goo coming from her head, and she had new gear. I was like, is she like distracting him? What is she doing? Is she not trying to distract him? And then they disappear, and the crowd just erupted in boos, and they tried to pipe in noise to cover it, but that place was booing. And I agree. You have 25,000 fans for the first time in a year, and that's the shit you open WrestleMania Night 2 with.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, you're wondering, like, is he drawing strength from Alexa? Like, is that the reason why that was my first thought. I'm like, oh man, she's gonna, like, quote unquote die because the Fiend came back and she, like, gave her life to, like, get. So, like, you're wondering what's going on, and then, like you said, it ends up she turned on him, and the Fiend does the cane thing like Caesar and goes. That's all he does. He does the weird head nod.
Yep.
And then gets RKO'd, and the match is over.
Yeah.
And the only cool thing besides the entrance was him doing the yeah tribute for Brody Lee. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
The entrance was cool. I was right with that. It was a spectacle, but that sucks. That realistically, if you take away the Firefly Funhouse match, Bray Wyatt hasn't won a WrestleMania. He's been, and what a great storyline, because he lost to Randy Orton at Mania 33. So this could have been his redemption, because the whole point of the Fiend character is it was created out of him being buried and getting mistreated. And then what do you do to pretty much kill the character? You mistreat it and you bury it.
Yeah, makes no sense. Next up is the Women's Tag Team Championship match. You have Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler taking on Natalya and Tamina, who won the Tag Team Turmoil match at night 1. Nia Jax and Baszler are going to get the win by technical submission in about a little over 14 minutes. And this is what we said about that match last week.
But I think Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler are going to retain. I don't see a title switch here.
No matter who wins that match, unless it's Bayley and Becky, no one cares.
I agree with both of you. I don't see them losing the straps unless it's some sort of fantasy booking.
So I got that one right. Roland, you didn't really give me a prediction there in the when I was editing the audio, so I did the best I could.
Yeah, I didn't see I didn't see no matter who won, unless it was because I still was on the Bayley Becky train. I didn't see anybody beating Nia and Shayna unless it was Bayley and Becky. Yeah. So I mean, I got that one right, but I'm not proud that was one of the two that I got right that day.
Yep.
I was hoping for a title switch just because they're just imploding, and they again, look, they teased it again this week about them. Well, they won't. It's so obnoxious. Like, I don't even want them to feud more. I just don't want them to have straps because, they don't mean anything anymore. Those belts are dead. Just like that push should be. Those belts are dead, and it sucks because NXT pretty much had to create new women's championship belts because those belts don't mean anything on the main show anymore. And now it's just oversaturated with belts that are going to all become meaningless, and they're going to do some unification soon. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah.
Vince hates tag teams.
Yep. Next up is the singles match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn with Logan Paul. Kevin Owens going to get the win over Sami Zayn in about 9.5 minutes here, and then he's going to stun Logan Paul for his efforts. Logan Paul kind of turned on Sami a little bit, but Kevin was having none of it and gives Logan Paul the stunner. And let's take a listen to what we said about this match.
But I think Logan Paul is going to get involved here against Kevin Owens. So I'm going to have to go against my boy here and go with Sami Zayn.
I feel like to keep the conspiracy theory going, Owens has to win this match for that conspiracy theory to keep going, unless they're going to just kill it. So I'm gonna pick Kevin Owens.
Fight Owens, fight for me. It's Kevin Owens, like Roland said.
I went against my boy. That did not turn out for me here.
That's all right. This is the last match I got right on the whole fucking show.
I told you not to go against KO.
3 matches in, my show's done.
Roland tapped out a night 2 from watching and from winning.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, I'm 2-1. This is gonna be great. Yeah. That's France. That's not good.
Next up is the United States Championship match. You have Sheamus getting a win over Riddle to become the new U.S. champion in about 11 minutes here. And these were our predictions on that match.
But my gut is telling me that they'll put the belt on Sheamus here, so I'm gonna go with Sheamus for the win.
This was another one that's tough to pick because you can't keep having Sheamus lose and him be even revered as an opponent, because sooner or later they're gonna be like, dude, you lost to this guy, you lost to this guy. When's the last time you won anything? And Sheamus also beat Riddle a while back. You know, so I think Riddle retains.
I agree. This one, it can go either way. And I feel like it needs to be Sheamus. Like you said, they can't keep having him lose. You're not going to take him seriously. I mean, Sheamus needs to win. That's my predictions.
Well, like Roland, this is the last one that I got right for the night. So.
And the worst part is I had it right. I just, for whatever reason in my gut, I mentioned about how, Riddle makes Vince chuckle. So I thought that we're going to keep the title on him. But it makes sense now, though, if from what I read, the only reason Riddle won the title was because it was supposed to go to Keith Lee.
Yes, I read that too.
So he ended up being the placeholder for Keith Lee because it was going to be Keith Lee taking it from Lashley originally. So Keith Lee having his medical issues or whatnot kind of made Riddle be the placeholder for that. So now it kind of makes more sense. We didn't know that ahead of time. But yeah, this one was so tough to call because they've been spending months beating Sheamus. So by that logic, he should have lost again just because they don't know, the Fiend spent 5 months beating, trying to get Randy Orton revenge, and then he loses to him anyways. So, whatever.
Yeah, the Fiend match opened this, and I had this weird feeling like, oh, okay, that's just a fluke, but it's still going to be Mania. And so far up to this point, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn was a great match. This match was a botch fest, and it's sad because Sheamus can go, but Riddle I don't know if their chemistry's off or they just, every other move felt like a botch. Like you said in the group chat during Mania Roll, and you're like, what was that? Like, oh, here, another botch. And he goes for the turnbuckle at one point, like slips, almost drops. So he runs up and tries to turn it.
He saved Riddle's life on that white noise from the top rope where he slipped off the ropes. If he had dropped Riddle, he would have been paralyzed. Would have dropped him right on his head.
And it's just crazy. And I don't know. I'm glad Sheamus won because, like you said, with your gut feeling, it made more sense not to keep having him lose. It's sloppy, and now here comes the burial of Riddle because Vince buries NXT guys.
Next up is the Nigerian drum fight for the Intercontinental Championship. Apollo Crews is going to get his win over Big E to become the new champion with the appearance of Dabba-Kato, who is now General Aziz. Is that right?
I think he's Commander Aziz, right?
Commander Aziz.
Yeah. Either way, it's Dabba-Kato. I said that in the group chat. I'm like, that was freaking Dabba-Kato, the guy from Raw Underground. But anyways.
So let's take a listen to what we said about this match.
But I don't see Apollo Crews getting the title here. I think Big E's going to retain.
Just for the sake of knowing the WWE product like I have, I'm going to pick Big E with the caveat I hope they do something good out of this because they can't keep squashing Apollo.
I think it's going to be Big E. My ultimate prediction is I think Big E gets his WrestleMania moment.
Nope. That didn't happen.
Well, and this is one of the matches that we missed the cues on because knowing it was a Nigerian drum fight, not knowing what the rules of it were even before the match, they're like, we don't even know what the rules are. There's going to be a bunch of drums out there. And so, we kind of, and I said that in the group chat afterwards. I'm like, well, we kind of missed the cue. They were going to give Apollo the win by shenanigans, by making it a Nigerian drum fight, which is what happened.
I still have no idea what the hell a Nigerian drum fight is. There was drums and some other random things. And now we have, on night 1 and night 2, we have 2 Raw Underground people getting their Mania moments with a really awful looking Samoan spike that they call the Nigerian nail.
He's the Nigerian nail.
Poor Apollo. That's not the way he should have won the strap. They're killing, this character's just killing his anything. He's such a good worker. This is not the gimmick he should have to suffer with. It's because it makes Vince laugh.
He's embarrassing his Nigerian ancestors. Yikes.
Oh, man.
So Wally did it again. Because, how do you spell pale? P-A-L-E, but I'm going to... Anyway,
Hey, how do you spell whale? There's an H in it. Come on, man.
understand. I do understand that. I'm just saying, ale is ale.
You can't go by that logic. Whale with a friggin' H in it. Anyways,
he lip synced to a terrible performance. That both live performances they have on night 2, I think, adds to the shenanigans of this card.
Oh yeah,
were awful. They were both lip syncing. There's one point where Wally, I'm sorry, I don't want to pronounce his name. Is
Wally
is literally holding the microphone under his chin.
If you're gonna lip sync, you can at least hold it up here so you can't tell you're lip syncing.
Yeah,
you put it in front of your mouth to cover, and then you don't have to say anything. You just be like, it's just yeah, it was brutal. And then to be fair, like Mongo said, we're gonna get into it in a minute, but the Rhea Ripley performance from that girl that sung her song, Mongo sends a text in the group chat. She's just yelling.
Yeah,
which is pretty much what she did. So
that's what she did.
Yeah. Mongo literally sent us a text. She's just yelling. She was yelling, "This is my brutality," over and over again.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Yeah, definitely wasn't Motorhead going Triple H's theme song.
No. And in night 1 had the better America the Beautiful too. Like, so night 2 had that girl I'd never heard of, and night 1 had BB Rexa. So like it started off better, even though the rain delay and whatever. But yeah, night 2's performances were horrible.
Yeah.
And she couldn't even play the guitar in the beginning, so that's why she stopped. She's like strumming a note. She's like messing up. It's like, why would you play the guitar on the grand stage if you can't play? I can't play a guitar. I'm not going to go on a stage and be like, no idea what I'm doing.
Why didn't they just have Elias do it? They have a legitimate music talent that they could have just put out there and been like, hey, night 2, we're going to let Elias do it. Then you get the moment, and at least, I mean, I'm not saying Elias is, Elvis Presley, but at least he knows what he's doing, clearly.
Yeah.
Because this feels like it was just booked by Vince, just laughing at everything. You have Hogan in a terrible pirate costume, which Mattel's going to have the Elite out for $19.99 in about 6 weeks. And to him saying scallywags, and Titus going, you can't say that, like, to awkwardly address his racist moment that he was clearly getting boos for in the crowd. Like, it was uncomfortable. Night 1, they were the perfect host. They were there. They did a couple backstage segments. They did their thing. Night 2, it just shows how much of a cluster this card was. Like, what the fuck did I just see?
Vince is like, you remember when you went to WCW, brother? I do. You're wearing a pirate hat.
Oh, man. So next up is the Raw Women's Championship match. Rhea Ripley going to get her moment here and become the new champion by defeating Asuka. And this is what we said about that match last week.
So I can see one of the two things happening: either Charlotte or Becky Lynch interfere here, and I think they're going to cost Rhea Ripley the title because I think they're going to want to get their revenge on Asuka. So I think Asuka's going to retain.
No matter what, I think Asuka retains, whichever way it goes.
I think you're right. I think Asuka retains, and I had one fantasy hope. I had one fantasy booking hope. For those who don't know, that's Kari Saint's entrance music. I was hoping Kari Saint somehow got involved because of the pirate ship. I wanted it last year. I wanted her to swing from the pirate ship, make an awesome entrance.
Yeah, we were totally right on this one.
Turns out Rhea was ready for Asuka.
Yeah, so yes, it turned out that way.
And I mean, I like Rhea. I get what they're doing with her, but the main complaint I have is like they hadn't done anything with her since she was going to make her main roster debut after the Rumble. And because Charlotte had COVID, or may not have had COVID, or because Andrade got fired, or got released, or because she had a movie, or whatever reason that Charlotte wasn't there, and then came back to Raw dressed like Matt Riddle, like Mongo said in our group chat. I mean, I get you're trying to change things up, but I honestly feel like the wrong person won.
I feel like Vince is just going to have them team together and be like, have them call Woo Bro. Like, they're just going to be the Woo Bros. Like,
anyway. Riddle and Charlotte. That's good.
But this was just to set up a WrestleMania rematch of, Charlotte and Rhea, because I don't want to see that again. Because I feel like they're just going to give the belt to Charlotte to keep adding up to her meaningless title reigns because she's a Flair. So they're going to give her 16 title reigns.
Yeah, she's already at what, like 46 though. So like she's already over that. No, what she got, like 14 or 13 already. It's like,
I thought it was
Ridiculous.
11,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure.
something stupid. But like,
And they had
you
to
know,
turn her heel again. This no one cares. We don't like you as a face either.
yeah, well, that's the worst part is that they haven't realized that people like Roman, when they were trying to push him, you can't push people that the fans don't want pushed
Mhm.
that hard and then wonder why nobody likes that person. Like it's the same reason why nobody liked Roman. They were pushing Roman, before he came back as the head of the table. They pushed him for like 2 years and the fans booed the shit out of him every time. And Vince is like, I don't get it. It's like, because you're shoving him down our throat. And that's what you're doing with Charlotte. The fact she has over 10, 12, 11, 15 title reigns already, and she's been in the company for what, 6 years or whatever it is, 7 years, like on the main roster. Come on, like really?
And this match pisses me off because you have Asuka, who was dominant in NXT. There's only 2 people in NXT, or 3 technically, that never really lost the title for the women's title. Her and Paige had that great, those great runs in NXT. They were dominant in NXT. She comes up and she gets destroyed by Charlotte at WrestleMania 34. It just, she's become a shell of herself, and they wonder why. Like, why can't Asuka, go? Why? What's going on? Because you're burying her, like Bray Wyatt. She should have gotten her WrestleMania win, because that would have gotten rid of it. Then you could set up the Charlotte versus Asuka, have Asuka go over and finally get her revenge on Charlotte, and make Asuka look strong. No, you want to get the Rhea because she's the flavor of the month.
Well, and then like we said, Becky Lynch is still nowhere to be found in any of this. Like,
Yeah.
and I know she had a kid, early December, I think it was. But like, still, it's like we're just waiting for her to come back because she never lost the title either.
And Ronda, they've been already saying Ronda's coming
Right.
back.
So I don't know, weird.
But fire Mickey James, because she couldn't help your women's division, even as a coach or anything. Maybe help get everybody at the same level so matches mean something. But fire a Hall of Famer just because of a budget cut.
Yeah. So we have made it to our main event of WrestleMania. It is the triple threat match for the WWE Universal Championship. Roman Reigns, unfortunately, is going to retain here with a little help from Jey Uso. He's going to pin both Edge and Daniel Bryan at the same time. And let's take a listen to our predictions for this match.
I think Edge is going to win the title, but I think he's going to pin Daniel Bryan. I don't think they're going to make Roman Reigns lose.
I will say this: Roman does not leave with the title, and I'm going to say that Daniel Bryan somehow takes it to then continue a feud with both of them. Whether it's he loses it, then next pay-per-view or whatever. But I'm going to go with WrestleMania Part 2.
I'm going with Edge going over because obviously, like you both said, I'm not going to beat that horse, but Roman's not eating the pan or taking the tap. It's either Daniel Bryan or Edge. So Edge is going over. He's legitimizing WrestleMania. Him and Bianca, they're going to show, look, both our winners were on the WrestleMania headline.
Nope.
It was Nopalmania Part 1.
Yep.
And I will give them credit. The pin was kind of cool. I like how he stacked them both up. I mean, that was a pretty neat pin to kind of almost signify that feud being blown off. Like, you know what? I've done it. I beat them both. It's over, whatever. So like that was cool. But the whole reason it was made a triple threat match in my mind was to take the title off Roman.
Yeah.
Without beating him. But apparently we were wrong. So
it capped off the disappointment of night 2's booking decisions, because there was good matches in the card. I don't want to downplay some of the performers. The Rhea Ripley Asuka match was a good match. Big E and Apollo, for what they did, had a good match. Kevin Owens, same thing, good match. This had good wrestling in it. I can't believe they brought the concerto back. I didn't think we'd see that in WWE again, especially with Daniel Bryan given his issues. But the shenanigans to get Roman to win do not belong at WrestleMania. If you're going to win clean. I know you're the heel, win clean. It's WrestleMania. That's what pissed me off more. They basically treated this like a Great Balls of Fire, where it was a triple threat, and then, oh, look, Jey interferes again and causes Roman to win again. So he cheated to win again at WrestleMania, and I get that's to make the fans hate him, but they already hate him. You don't need to keep getting him heat, especially at WrestleMania. And then they're just going to keep doing the same thing they do in SmackDown now, with Jey Uso fighting whoever's in line for Roman, because that's all they do is blah, 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 versus, like I said in the group chat last night, it's just the same person versus Jey, because they can't find another way to book Roman. They just keep making him cheat to win, and it's going to get stale. People are just going to boo it, not because he's a heel, but because he's a stale heel. Don't kill his push.
well, and it would serve the purpose of them screwing Bray Wyatt, the Fiend thing up, if they screwed this up too. That seems to be what they do. They build up great things and screw it up. So
it didn't feel like Mania Night 2. It literally felt like a B pay-per-view. Like
Yeah,
if
no,
I
I
was in
agree.
attendance, I'd be pissed off.
Well, and I think a lot of it was the uncertainty of things. You know, a lot of people say that things were changed last minute, and it showed. It seemed like a 3-hour Raw that was just thrown together. Like, oh, here's another rematch for the 4th week in a row, and like here's this garbage, and yeah, it just I don't know. Here's Adnan Virk now. Anyways, yeah. So
Yeah. So I mean, definitely wasn't the best WrestleMania of all times, or even close to that. Yeah, just it lacked the something special factor. You look for the special moments. I know Bianca got her win, and Rhea got her win, and stuff like that, but just it was lacking the special moments, the wow moments that you look forward to in a WrestleMania.
well, and that was the last real moment was Bianca on Saturday night. I mean, I
Yeah.
know, like you said, Rhea got her win, but like no one seemed to really care about that either. Honestly, like the fans didn't, they weren't into that like they were the Sasha and Bianca match. So I give this a 5 at best.
Yeah.
If I had to rate it, even though it was 2 nights, and let's just go on the record and say we don't need 2-night pay-per-views anymore. Like, let's end it.
I agree.
They could have cut, 5 or 6 of these matches off of here and had, like a 4-hour spectacle in one night, which the next 2 WrestleManias are supposed to be one night according to what they've booked. So we'll see.
You said what I was gonna say too. Night 1 kept it there. They could have sprinkled it and flipped some of the things around, but keep it like 5 hours max. And you could still have a solid card. You don't need the pre-shows anymore. It's not a pay-per-view. You're not enticing us to buy it. We're already watching a crappy Peacock. So keep it one night. Night 1 was solid. Night 2 was just, and they had too many heels to win. WrestleMania is, like I said last week, supposed to be about the faces going over, the blow-offs, these long-running feuds, and a lot of them either kept the feuds going or just ended the feuds on a terrible note, and that's what killed Night 2. Is like you said, it was probably changed 5 minutes before all the matches, and according to a lot of the reports, a lot of these wrestlers didn't even know who was going over or what the finishes were, and that's not what you do at WrestleMania. You don't crumple your card up at WrestleMania. That's what you do on a Raw when you're having your moment, Vince. But Vince and Bruce, I don't know what's going on, and fire Kevin Dunn while we're at too, because the crap that's coming about at him, the same guy who's camera cutting, who is just he needs to go too. This whole regime is just ruining a good product. These wrestlers are being buried for no reason other than they don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, it's definitely run its course and seems to be stale. No matter what they do, they either come up with good stuff and then screw it up, or they can't come up with good stuff. There's no in between. Like, they never come up with good stuff and pay it off anymore. It's always, oh, we screwed that up, or oh, we don't have anything for you.
Yeah. So that is our rundown and our review of WrestleMania 37. Coming up for you guys next week, in case you didn't hear from last week's episode, we're doing something a little bit different. For the first time ever, we are covering TNA. We're going to cover the first ever Lockdown pay-per-view from 2005. There's a lot of names on that card that you'll know, and I'm looking forward to breaking that one down for you guys next week.
Yeah, it should be interesting. We've been kind of talking about trying to sprinkle in some TNA, but now with the network being dissolved and going to Peacock and not knowing what libraries they're going to have, we figured it was a perfect time to jump in. And this is really the first 6 months of their actual monthly pay-per-views. For a while, they were doing the weekly ones. They would do, on like a Wednesday night or whatever it was, and they would do their pay-per-views. This is they started doing this the fall of the year before. So this is like the 6-month mark of them doing actual monthly pay-per-views. So still kind of new. And like Tim said, there's some names. I mean, in the first match, I'm not to spoil it, in the first match, it has Lance Hoyt, who is Lance Archer in AEW now. So it's pretty cool to see that stuff. So.
No, I was a TNA fan. I watched, and it's cool because I get to reminisce, because I didn't order the pay-per-views, because the problem was the pay-per-views at that point, you were paying $50 a pay-per-view, so I chose WWE because it's the product I knew. But I'm excited to go back and revisit TNA, because I think that's what this podcast is. It's wrestling past and present, and it's good to kind of cover the past of products maybe we haven't seen, so we can understand the present, and when they have some of these new Impact pay-per-views that are coming up and things like that.
Well, and it covers all of our bases for people. There's some fans out there that may like the old school TNA Impact than some of the WWE stuff back then. You never really know. So we're just trying to make everybody happy and talk about wrestling, all kinds of wrestling.
That's what we try to do here. So looking forward to covering TNA for the first time next week. We'll be back next Saturday at 5. Thanks for listening. Tune us in next week. Until then, I'm Tim Kurt.
I'm Roland Fulis.
And I'm Mongo.
And this is Wrestling with Wrestling Past and Present.
I hope you're all having a nice day.